Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. This week I've got a game of O Group for you. I think it's our 6th O Group game, and this game my late war US rifle battalion's taking on Keith's late war Germans. We've had a couple of games, but I thought I would record this one and see how it went. Just before we begin, I've been rebasing a few of my 15mm Battlefront figures armies. I prefer 20mm, I think I've said before, but Keith plays on 15mm and I'm starting to get back into the swing of 15mm actually. So what I've done is I've rebased all my US paras on 3cm round bases with 3 figures on them, 2 for the commanders. I just really like the look of the round bases. I'm not going to play Flames of War again. I'm well over Flames these days. I can use these bases for a variety of systems. I can use O Group, Battle Group. What else? I could use them potentially in bolt action in 15mm. Not that I'm ever going to do that, and definitely use them for rapid fire and stuff like that as well. So yeah, really happy with the way they look, and so this is the basis of the army that I'm going to be using tonight. And tonight's armies, the US Rifle Battalion is going to be defending. I defended last week and had a loss, and so I've changed things up a wee bit. So you've got your battalion of 3 companies with their mortars and forward observer. And I've taken for my supports 2 M8 Scots, used them last week, really like the firepower of the 75mm guns on them. And this week my big change is taking 2 M18 Hellcat platoons. I took 1 platoon to the last game and a couple of recon patrols, but I'm finding that Keith's taking twice as much armor as me and using it really well. So I thought more anti-tank is probably a good idea. Keith's list hasn't changed. It's the same as he used in the previous game, and he's got his battalion HQ with observer and mortars. He's got his 3 rifle companies, 2 medium machine gun sections. They're just nasty. The firepower these guys throw out when they've deployed on a combat patrol is a bit scary. And he takes 2 Panzer IV platoons, so he's got a total of 4 tanks on the table, which takes a bit of stopping. And he also has 2 patrols or platoons of 250/9 reconnaissance armored cars. So his force, he's the attacker, he's got 30 points. My force as a defender is only 20 points. So I'm outnumbered. And with the under the rules with the reconnaissance, if you're attacking, the first 2 reconnaissance units destroyed don't count towards the break point of your army. So I'll always kill 1 or 2 and go, oh, I still haven't got any points. But you need to kill them because, as I found out last night, they are very, very dangerous. So you need to deal with them. Now, the one thing I do kind of like, but it's probably not very good from point of view of seeing what's going on, is the fact that the game starts with pretty much nothing on table. You have no idea really of what the opponent's up to. Now, I could deploy on this game basically up to the 24-inch mark, so it kind of went through there. But the tactic I'd used last game, and I tried again this game, is previously I'd been defending the whole board, and I found that I was getting destroyed piecemeal, that my lines were too long and I was getting outnumbered 2-3 to 1 and losing platoons quite frequently. So the last game and again this game, I decided to only defend approximately 2/3 of the table. So my company boundaries, I used the river. I put A company on one side of the river. B company was holding a line basically across these fields here, and then down here. So I really ignored the flank and was not really going to worry about that too much. So with our first orders, I managed to get 4 combat patrols, which I strung out as far forward as I could to try and keep the Germans back as far as I could. And although they're not deployed, this is just where I decided to put my ambushes. So I also put my 3rd company's position was going to be this forest, but I put the 2 Hellcat ambushes close together, the idea being that they can can fire out this way if necessary, cover that flank, but also they were going to cover this wide expanse, the other side of that forest, through to the town that was the corner of my defensive position. So I thought by maximizing my firepower, hopefully that would work out for me. Rifle platoon and ambush here. I actually didn't want to defend this far forward even. I wanted to just defend this side of the road more than anything. And the M8 Scott ambush and behind again, they could offer supporting fire over this way, and they could fire right through here as well. So yeah, tried to keep a reasonably compact defense. The one thing I am finding I struggle with in this game, or one of the many things, is I really never get my reserve company on table. So I think the next game I defend, I'm probably going to end up putting all 3 companies on, because yeah, my reserves once again didn't really come into play in this combat, and I ended up fighting the battle with 2/3 of my forces. So yeah, that's something I'm going to look forward to. But that's where my defenses are now. I think this is a combat patrol, and this is a combat patrol. A couple of Ricky platoons. I don't think they're on yet. So this is just showing the Germans. So the Germans have 2 artillery missions during the game, which is represented by the Hummels. This is his battalion HQ, and that's his battalion HQ mortar orders there. And I think there was a company was advancing from this forest. That's his other HQ through the middle, and Keith's 3rd company was over here in the edge of that tree line. So yeah, I think he's going to advance along here, possibly into that middle area, and we will see how it goes from there. Right, let's have a look at the initial rolls for deployment. So you roll 9 dice, and there's a chart to see what happens. I got 4 5s and 6s, which meant I could put 4 of my units in ambush. That was actually a 2. I moved the dice closer together and must have bumped it. I got 4 combat patrols and 1 1, which meant nothing, no deployment. And for Keith, he got 4 5s and 6s, which was deploying units on table behind his start line. And he got 2 combat patrols, and he got 3 1s, which meant opening barrage casualties on the defender. I think I lost a platoon, and I also lost a section off a 2nd platoon of my reserve company. So my reserve company was down to almost half strength before it even was going to come on table. So that wasn't a bad result for Keith. And just from a slightly different angle. Now, I tend to take photos from behind where I'm sitting, so I actually quite think that this lengthwise shot has a bit of a better overview of the battle. So you can see my forward defence lines where my combat patrols are. Keith's pushing forward his first reconnaissance platoons at the start of his turn 1. I think I lost the turn to see the roll to see who goes first. I've got 1 a battalion order here. I think I lost 1. Maybe that's something else that happens in the battalion phase at the beginning. And Keith had 3, or by the looks of it, there, battalion orders. So you add your number of battalion orders to the roll of 2d6, and the highest number gets to choose to go first or second, and Keith chose to move first. And here we have the orders for turn 1. So for me, I got 1 battalion order and 8 company orders. I rolled no 1s, so that was excellent. Keith, on the other hand, got 1 HQ order, 5 company orders, rolled 3 1s, which meant that 1 of his 3 companies was hesitant and not really able to move. So that was lucky for me. Not a lot of action on turn 1
Mortars killed a combat patrol over here. There was a hesitant German company over there where those recon came on, and there's just scout patrols. As usual, the battlefield looks very empty at this stage, but it might fill up or it might not. And there's combat patrols there. The interdiction meant I didn't get any of the troops I tried to deploy on, but over to Keith's turn 2.
Right, I just grabbed my dice and rolled them and didn't count them. And as you can see, there are actually 10 dice there. So I cheated. So 2 HQ orders, 5 company orders, 1 no orders. Keith got 2 HQ orders, 5 company orders, and 2 no orders. I rolled about a 7 for my dice roll, and Keith rolled a double 1, so I took the initiative this turn. Not that I actually wanted it, because basically there's nothing to be seen on the table. It's still just combat patrols making their way forward.
Turn 2, I took initiative. The Scots came on, and Keith's turn from ambush and put some shock on the infantry that had deployed over there. Otherwise, these armoured cars have advanced, so they're getting close to this company commander. And on the other side, I deployed a platoon of infantry with an attached bazooka and managed to kill one of the armoured cars. But as always, the first 2 recon losses for the attacker don't count, so it's still 0-0 when it comes to actual losses.
I didn't really want the initiative this turn, but I took it anyway. So I ambushed with the Scots against the infantry over there. I deployed an ambush from a combat patrol here. Well, sorry, not an ambush, a platoon with an attached bazooka. Got lucky, rolled a 9 to hit, and then knocked out one of the armoured cars. That's my battalion mortars have ranged in over there. Keith is just pushing, as you can see, pushing forward combat patrols over here. He's got combat patrols advancing here and here. And over here, just out of sight, he's really pushed those 2 armoured cars forward behind that copse. I've got an infantry combat patrol there. I've got another one nearby, but I'm really worried that I'm now too close to be able to deploy. You can't deploy on a combat patrol if you're within 8 inches. So he's really locked down this side at present. And I'm starting to wonder how I'm going to get those infantry deployed. But the battlefield's still looking pretty barren at present.
Turn 3, I get no battalion orders, 8 normal orders, but unfortunately Keith gets another hesitant company and 5 regular orders and a battalion one, which I think we're both for. Turn 3, the German artillery disordered or suppressed both of my Scots. The armoured cars chased down my combat patrols. So I've got no combat patrols over here. Panzers advanced on, and then I tried to ambush them. I ambushed and killed an armoured car, and then the Panzer IVs knocked out one of the Hellcats. The other one tried to disengage in its turn after having a shot, and a German reaction fire badly damaged it and shocked. So things are looking a bit dicey. Over here, my 2 bazooka teams tried to shoot. There's an armoured car back there and failed to hit it. Both missed. So yeah, things are looking a bit dicey for the Americans.
And just a bit of a top-down overview. So yeah, these armoured cars over here have run down my combat patrols, so I can't deploy. That's my company commander going, what do we do here? This one I pushed up into that terrain. I think I deployed him, but he's actually over the company boundary, so I realised that and couldn't deploy off there. So later on I have to move back over to the right side of the river so I could deploy off him. My ambush Really wanted to take out the Panzer IVs with my ambush, but I had to actually fire at the armoured car because it was just whizzing around the flank. And then these Panzer IVs came on and took out one of the Hellkits, and as I retreated, badly damaged the other one. I've deployed a platoon of infantry here with a bazooka as well. It might actually have been the bazooka that took out that armoured car, come to think of it. And Keith has deployed off one of his combat patrols, a platoon of infantry up here. These guys haven't really advanced. I pushed forward here, further forward to try and take out that armoured car with my 2 bazookas. It was exposing myself because there's combat teams over here, there's a platoon over here, so I am exposed, but I want this to be my main defence line. So I was thinking if I push them forward, it may delay the Germans getting to my main defences, and both of the Scots taking shock from the German regimental artillery didn't help my cause. But during the week I had read about the rally rules, so decided that I was going to utilise those and hopefully get them back in action. But an interesting turn 3, and yes, the battlefield is finally starting to fill up a wee bit, which is actually one of the things I like about the game, is you're never really sure till things are deployed off combat patrols what's going on and what the opponent's really doing. It's got a great fog of war aspect to it.
Okay, I get 3 battalion orders and 6 ordinary orders versus 2 battalion orders and what's that? 7. I can't count. 7 regular orders. Turn 4. So I might have a slight advantage when it comes to our roll. Okay, here we go. This machine gun here let rip at my platoon that had ambushed after it had first opened fire. He went crazy and got 10 hits, and then I managed to somehow roll 8 saves. So crazy. The German artillery, what did they hit?
Mortared. Oh no. Yeah, mortared, but with no effect.
Mortared with no effect over there. I got some artillery and damaged a couple of the Panzer IVs. There was a bit of a shooting match over here, but we failed to hit each other between the Hellcats and the Panzer IVs. But the big combats were between this medium machine gun team letting rip all over the place and me rolling very high saves to avoid damage. So rolling on to turn 5. The Germans are in a commanding position at this stage. Four ones and 3 6s to the Germans versus 3 6s for battalion orders and 4 normal orders to the Americans. Interesting. Right, turn 5, the German artillery I don't think came in. I think it failed, and he only had 3 orders in the end, and the machine guns fired, and then I suppressed them, but haven't killed any. I think I lost another stand over here, and at the end, the consolidation of the last phase, another platoon has appeared. My Scots had done the damage against the machine guns and suppressed them. My M10s killed 1 Panzer IV, but then at the end Keith rallied off 3 shock on the other 2. So interesting. Oh, and I did manage to kill that armor car. That didn't count for a loss, but at least it is dead.
It does count for a loss.
Turn 6. Was that no 2 dead armor cars?
One there. 2.
Yeah, but 3. Oh yeah, it is a loss. It's a real loss.
You're on the table.
I'm on the table, so I think Keith's lost maybe 2 or 3. 3 versus my
2 tanks and an armor car.
versus my 5, but still not feeling 100% confident. Okay, I have 1 hesitant company out of my 2. Keith gets 2 non-orders and he got 1 battalion. So he's up to a massive 1 battalion versus my 2 battalions, but I've got a hesitant company. Interesting. Turn 6. I lost a platoon over there that they got shot, and then they got machine gun. There's a armored car back there. The Hellcats managed to kill a Panzer IV, and I managed to kill a machine gun. So I'm on 8 FUBARs. There's 2 FUBARs, 8 losses, but I've now got 5 against the Germans. So we're hanging in there, but only just. Americans finally won a turn. The Hellcat tried to destroy the last Panzer IV, and the battalion mortars put 2 shock on it. I killed the last medium machine gun, and the Scots took return fire when the armoured car fired at my infantry and put 2 shock on it. We suppressed those guys, but they rallied some off, and the last strike of the German heavy artillery killed the Hellcat. So it's now 6-9, so I'm 3 short of being broken.
Now, I've forgotten to take some overview shots, so my apologies for that, but I finally remembered this turn. So things are starting to look really interesting. So the Scots over here are doing a lot of heavy lifting. Keith has got a platoon into here. This is where the machine guns were letting rip. Man, they're annoying. You know, there's 10, 12 dice, and they really throw out the firepower, and wasn't able to kill them for quite a while, but finally got them. There's another platoon in there. This platoon is pushing up here, but got suppressed. My guys are against the banks of the river, and I've finally got some combat patrols to try and get a company into the fight, because really I've been fighting mainly with these guys and the platoon that was over here and the 3rd platoon that was back here a wee bit. So I've been a wee bit outnumbered and feeling the pressure, and there's been a pretty impressive gun duel over here between the Panzer IVs, 3 of which are knocked out. The artillery and the battalion mortars are, I've used all my medium artillery strikes, regimental strikes, what I go for. Damaged or suppressed the Panzer IV. If I can get one more hit on it, I may be able to destroy it with my battalion mortars. So that's going to be my focus going forward. But these armoured cars got right in behind my flank here before I was able to deal with them. So it's really interesting. But you know, I've lost 9, so I'm down to 7 orders. I've lost and Keith's lost, what did I say, 6 maybe? So advantage is definitely in Keith's favour at present. But let's have a look at the next turn. Orders, I get 1 HQ order and 5 company orders, and 1 didn't count. And Keith had 1 didn't count, and his other 7 are all company orders. So lots of options for Keith this turn coming up.
Turn 8, not a lot of casualties caused. I think I may have killed a base there, and the rest of the time we saved against each other. So I think it's 7-9 when it comes to casualties, so it's pretty close. But and I did run off a new combat patrol that had come on there. So Keith's now starting to put pressure over here. Got a couple of platoons going forward, and I've got 1 platoon, and the Scots must be running out of ammo, the amount they're firing to keep that flank intact. Okay, we could say it swung to the Americans, but I don't know if it has. It's very, very, it's close. It's 9-11. I killed the 2 stands over there, and I got a stand in the platoon here. But this platoon here has been hit by guys over there and there and there. So if Keith gets initiative and finishes them off, then it'll be his game, but I've got to somehow kill one's, get initiative and kill one's stand. So it's really come down to the wire as we're about to hit turn 10, I think. It's yeah, very, very close.
Turn 10 orders dice. So I got a 6, 2 2s, 4 1s. So one of my companies was hesitant and it turned out to be a company over here. Keith got 6 regular orders and 1 non-order, and I won the dice roll and got to take the turn. So what I did is this squad here, they advanced to the far edge of the wood here to give them line of sight to shoot over there. Let's move on to the video to see whether or not that paid off.
Dang.
They did it. They marched. They rolled 3 dice, and Keith's been rolling 1s all the last 3 turns as often as he can, and I managed to somehow burgle it back. What a crazy game.
What a game. That was the complete opposite of the last game we played, where it was a bit similar, where I took a big early lead and then suddenly just couldn't finish off any more units and got overwhelmed. And it was the opposite here. That turn 8 and 9, really things finally swung in my favour after looking pretty dicey. So I think my defensive tactics were reasonable. I didn't want to push too far forward. My reserve company was meant to appear in this wood, but once again I just didn't find time to deploy it. So I think next time I'm going to try and have all 3 companies on table, because yeah, I just aren't having the orders dice when I need them to be able to bring it out. Really worried about a company for turns 1 to 5, 1 to 6, when those armoured cars got around here and I just couldn't deploy. So that whole flank was really in trouble. But the Scots were probably the MVPs. They were just firing round after round, because you can fire in your own turn. If your company commander has a special company command order, you can try and give a second order, but it might cost anywhere between 1 to 3 extra orders to fire a second time in a round. Well worth doing. And also you're able to take reaction fire, which is if you've got any company orders left, you can take 1 shot at something that the enemy has just moved or fired. And so the Scots were just firing, because they had, with their HE, they probably had 8 or 9 dice each turn that they were firing. So they really held that flank together. But when they first came on, they got hit by the artillery. They were both suppressed, but I managed to rally off one of the suppressions, so they only ended up having 2 shock for the rest of the game. That's when the Hellcats came on, and then the duel between the Hellcats and the Panzer IVs. Having 4 Hellcats or 4 M10s or 4 Shermans, much better than just having 2. The last couple of games I've managed to kill 1 platoon of Panzer IVs, but Keith's always had that second platoon to come through. So I've decided I really needed more heavy anti-tank, mobile anti-tank, and that's why I decided to take the Hellcat. So I think that was a good choice. I didn't see anything wrong with the way Keith was playing. He really put pressure on using his recon. He uses his recon really well. He probably got held up in the middle here, not able to go forward, and because those tanks were over here, wasn't really able to get anything over to support the infantry there to deal with the Scots. So that kind of worked in my favour. But yeah, it was touch and go, very close game, awesome game. Really loved it, and just the way this game unfolds. There are some issues I have with it, like I think the artillery rules and the order of things, especially on the quick reference sheets, are a bit clunky and hard to find information. It's not very ergonomically designed, but I'm thinking about maybe just redesigning some of the quick reference sheets for my own use. That will probably be my main gripe so far. Yeah, the game unfolds, and the use of combat patrols is just a brilliant mechanism to add that fog of war. I think that's the real strength and what I enjoy about O Group the most. But anyway, I've been waffling on for quite a while. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Hope to have another game against Keith in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're both busy in the next fortnight, so it's going to be a wee while. But until next time, ka kite anō. Take care.